Here we go. Episode 60. It's here, ready to go. We have the first ever member of the Kane Capital Discord to ever come on the podcast with us for today's episode. I am pumped. He is the man. I won't say his name just yet because we'll do the whole build up thing. Hopefully a bunch of the members are listening and you guys are like, who is it? Most of you, if you're in the Discord, you probably already know. But Noah, this guy is something else.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have him on because it comes full circle from when we started, and then we're always going to have those sort of ride or die type of guys. And our guest today is definitely one of those guys, and he's really made a success out of himself. And so I'm excited to talk to him about, how he's been able to do it, particularly over the past couple of months. So let's get into it.
All right. Drum roll, please. Ryan will add in a drum roll. Without further ado, Mr. Paul Dozer. Paul Dozer, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. This is a big honor. I really appreciate you guys having me on. We got Hondo, we've got Diamond, we've got Novak on production taking care of us, and you guys were saying earlier, this is the number one podcast in the world. Number one podcast in the world, right? Or in our world.
Something like that.
Well, some people would say in the world.
Yeah.
Noah and I would definitely say in the world.
There's about 2 billion listeners right now.
Yeah.
That's right.
You guys are on your commute.
You're going to have to hire security. Your life's about to change, Paul Dozer. You're on TCP.
Yeah.
Hope you like the paparazzi.
Yeah, I mean that's why I got to keep my identity hidden, right? I mean, I got to.
Exactly. So, super pumped to have you on. For those of you that don't know Paul, as I mentioned earlier, he's a member in our Discord. He has just been absolutely crushing it, especially at the end of 2022 is when he really started making a name for himself. Now, the cool thing is that Noah and I have known him for a very, very long time, for the majority of 2022. And then at the end of the year, it's like something just clicked. And watching him develop as a trader in real time was one of the coolest things I've gotten to witness. But now it's time for Paul to tell us his story, to tell the listeners his story. Dozer, take it away. How did you get into trading? How did you get into stocks? Tell us about your journey, brother.
Sure. Yeah. Before I got involved as a trader, I sort of had this nebulous idea of what trading was. It was like, okay, a bunch of angry dudes in Wall Street with pieces of paper yelling at each other. And then there's a guy in the middle of them and he's taking the pieces of paper. I literally had no idea what trading was. And then Wall Street bets started blowing up about GameStop. And I'm like, what is this? I have no idea what any of this is. And GameStop was at it might've been at $8 at that point. So I was in there pretty early. And people are like, oh, yeah, just get a Robinhood account. And I'm like, okay, what's that? I download it. And I had no idea what I was doing. They gave me an account so quick, especially a margin account. It is, in hindsight, is completely irresponsible. But I'm like, okay, yeah, this is what we're doing. So I bought some commons at like $12 or something. And it went to 30. And I'm like, whoa, I just doubled my money. I cashed out. I bought some more. I think it went up to 40. And, at the time, it felt historic. It really did at the time. It felt rare. It felt historic. And I'm like, I don't know what any of this is. There's a lot that I don't understand. People are saying buy calls. I'm just going to go for it because this feels like a rare event and you got to strike when the iron's hot. So I was buying $100 calls, 115 calls, 120 calls, and they blew up. I mean, I think at one point I was up 70 or 80K, starting with only a few grand on GameStop stuff. And my wife, she was encouraging me sell. A new trader will get sort of greedy and they'll want to hold it and hold it. But so I listened to her and I did sell. And I think I walked away with 40 grand in total from the whole GameStop thing. because it all went downhill when Robinhood removed the buy button. And that's something I want to talk today a lot is about trust. Like Robinhood forever broke the trust of the retail trader. And so not long after that, I went to other brokerages. That was quite the ride. And I'm sure a lot of people listening out there have a similar story with GameStop.
I remember when we first started the Discord, it felt like a lot of the people who were coming in, and, were becoming part of the community, wanting to learn how to trade, or maybe already knew how to trade and were sharing their own ideas. They were all like involved, like somehow in GameStop or AMC. And I feel like that was just like such a big win. Like not just financially, like you said, I mean, you made 40 grand. I know so many others who made like ridiculous amounts of money like that, but not even just monetarily, but I think just like for the morale, right? It was like, we got one over on the big guys. Like it was like a win, right? Like it felt like a team win, like your team just won the Super Bowl or something, right? Even if you didn't, I made like, I think $200 in GameStop. Like I never really
green is green.
Never traded it. Like I grabbed one share when it was already at like 100 because somebody was like, oh dude, this thing's like going to 1,000. I was like, all right, whatever. Bought a share, sold it the next day for like $200, and that was it. But even then, it still felt like I was part of like that team. You know what I'm saying? That like that won. So yeah, no, I completely agree. That had a huge impact on the entire community, without a doubt.
Yeah, it felt revolutionary. So then after that, I was following like Unusual Whales on Twitter, and I subscribed to that, and I was just following random call outs. I had no idea what I was doing. And I mean, but this is the market conditions were like, oh, this big whale bought options in NVIDIA or Tesla. And so then I basically tailed those. I made a lot of money blindly following Unusual Whales plays with literally no idea what I was doing. And then moving on from there, you dip your toes into FinTwit. And I think I started seeing posts from like Ramsey or Dipka, Coach Dipka, and I'm like, oh, these guys are interesting. I'm going to follow them. And they had a Discord, and I was following that for a little while, and I was in all these other Discords too, following all these gurus. But really, where I really sort of laid the bedrock understanding of trading is with the boot camp. The Cane Cat boot camp was so important to my development as a trader. Like I would not be here today without that. So it was, I'm forever grateful that you guys held that and helped out so many of us with that.
Dude, it's awesome to hear you say that. I remember when we were doing the boot camp, and this was something we'd never done. Like we've never charged for like a course or like anything of that nature. So when we were putting it together, we all met and we were like, all right, so it kind of hit us like there are now a lot of people who are looking to us for guidance. And we realized, how seriously we had to take it. And we did everything in our power to put out a really quality product. And I remember, so I think we've done 3 different boot camps, and they were over the course of like 2 or 3 weeks, I believe. And for those 2 or 3 weeks, it was like we did nothing else. Nothing else. It was just boot camp, like interactive with the members, doing the classes, just nonstop, hitting it hard.
You guys were working 20-hour days.
Yeah, it was something. I remember like just being exhausted, but at the same time, I mean, it was well worth it. And to hear you come on the podcast, here we are literally 12 months later, because I'm assuming you did the January one, or maybe it was February, whatever.
Yeah, the inaugural one.
Yeah, January. 12 months later, we have a boot camper on the podcast because of his success in the market. That thumbs up. How crazy is that?
So nuts. And I was telling him before we hopped on too, that like personally, at least, I was like afraid, because I was like worried that these people are putting so much trust in us to be able to help them out. And like, what if we can't? And like, so I think that's why, like, from Alejandro's perspective, like when he was saying like we were just really doing everything we could, I think that that's sort of like what lit a fire under my ass. You can't half-ass this. Like you have to really go hard and really try and put out the best possible product, because that's what these people expect. And so to hear you say that it was beneficial definitely, makes it well worth it.
Really, you poured your souls into that, and I think everyone's very appreciative of your efforts. It was awesome, and it was tough as a student. It was a jam-packed schedule, but hey, in terms of ROI, that's the best class I've ever taken.
Damn, That's sick. I really do appreciate you saying that. And I know that all the guys, the rest of the team at King Cap would say the same. But tell us now. So you take the boot camp. Was it immediate success? Was it putting in more work? And then just continue to go through that timeline for us.
No, it was not immediate success. And it was a lot of work and it was a lot of failure, a lot of trial and error, a lot of failure. Trading is tough. It's the most difficult thing I've done mentally. This is not for everyone out there. I mean, I'm sort of counter signaling FinTwit because everyone's just trying to sell something. They're trying to sell their courses or they're trying to sell their indicators or whatever else. I mean, and I'm not selling anything. I'm a retail trader like most of you listening out there. This is tough and this is not for everyone. You're going to fail a lot and it's going to hurt. Can you get back up after that? Can you be determined? Can you deal with failing for 6 months? Can you deal with failing for a year? How about 2 years of failing? Not everyone can do that. Yes, this is the hardest thing I've done, but it's also in a lot of ways the most rewarding.
I completely agree that like it really isn't for everybody, right? Like they always say, like whatever the stat is, like 90% of people fail. And I think failing is sort of the best thing that could happen to somebody if you're not cut out for this, right? Like if you're not cut out for trading, and like you said, like you have to go through a lot mentally. If that's just like not the type of person you are and you find, more joy in your life doing other things, like there's no point to spend your time sitting in front of a screen, man. Like I'm telling
Exactly.
you, like if you don't absolutely love this, like it's really not worth it.
Yeah. If you're not thinking about higher lows in the shower.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like, because I love this, and there are days where I'm like, dude, like look at the screen, like look at this price action, like look at the chart. Like I have to sit here. I'm mad, but like I'm gonna do it because I love this. Like if you don't love this, then I find that it's got to be so easy to get burnt out. So easy to get burnt out, especially if you're not seeing the success that you want to see.
I love this and I get burnt out. I'll be honest. Like you go through like an account drawdown or even if like you're doing well, it's like anything else. Like you're sitting in front of the screen all day, which is why I really try to focus on like doing other stuff during the day. Like, I don't know, like going for a run, like going to do something because it is so mentally draining. It's so mentally draining. I don't know. It's something about it, something about, but you know what? That is what gets me fired up because anytime I think, man, like I could be doing something that's so much easier. Like I could be, working at some job and all I do is work from 9 to 5. And then, the stress for the most part is off my shoulders. And,
yeah,
and then I don't even like, when I was working my old job, I never thought about that shit on the weekends. Like I wasn't up at 10 p.m. like doing work for the company. Obviously, I don't want anybody coming at me. Oh, I work a corporate job and I work. All right, we get it. Like you work in investment banking, you work a lot of hours, whatever. But generally, right, you don't carry too much of that stress into the weekends. With this,
Yes.
It's like 24/7, man. It's 24/7. So you become like your own manager in a sense, like when to work, when not to work, in order to kind of avoid getting burnt out.
Yeah. Like if you can't compartmentalize, this is not for you. If you are high strung and you've got a lot of anxiety, I mean, this is probably not for you. This is going to teach you so much about your mental fortitude and like, can you stomach those tough losses? And this job, you can work so hard at this job and lose a lot of money. Like, it's not like, if
only
I'm
job in the world.
Yeah,
only job in the world.
Yeah. If I work hard digging a ditch, like I can actually tangibly see a pile of dirt being moved. I can spend 30 hours charting something and think I've got something dead to rights. It turns on me because there's something I didn't expect. And I lose $5,000. It's just killer. That's the worst. But can you compartmentalize? Can you bounce back? Can you stomach that stuff? And not everyone can.
I also want to emphasize that I don't think when you start trading that I don't think it's one of those things where it's like binary. Either you are or aren't built for it. I don't think I could tell. Like if I were to talk to somebody who's like a new trader, like I don't think I could tell right off the bat, like, okay, yeah, like you could do it or you can't do it.
Agreed.
Like from the mental aspect. I think there is a lot of growth that comes from just trading alone. Like the best part, by far the best part of becoming successful in the markets. And when I am in those stretches where I am trading so well and I'm trading so confidently, yes, that means I'm making more money, but as a person, it's like all of the hard work, because you go through so much like pain and mental anguish, quite literally. Like I'll use that word, mental anguish, when you're struggling and you're trading, and you come out on the other side of that and you're very proud of like everything that you went through. And that's what, you start to like slowly become stronger and stronger mentally. So trading is advantageous in that way. So if you're listening to the podcast and you're like, maybe you've been struggling as of late and you're telling yourself, oh, maybe I'm not cut out for this, I do want to remind everybody that even the most successful traders go through those stretches. It's very, very tough at times, but there is, again, on the other side of that, like that's what you feel like you're floating. Like you literally feel like you're floating, not even because of the money. I'll say that again. Like, yes, you're going to make more money when you start to become successful. But for me, it's more of like a confidence thing. It's like, damn, look at it. Look at all the work I put in. Like the times where I thought I was never, ever gonna make this shit happen. And then, like that smooth sailing is like, it's like, damn.
I want to hit on that because this literally happened to me today. And I thought about that exact same thing that you said, like with the money. So like I've been learning how to trade in like a relatively new style, or at least it's new to me. And so like I've been putting in a lot of work like to learn this, like several weeks, like really grinding like on the weekends, like literally like hours and hours and hours of just studying, and hours and hours and hours of going back in the price action, replaying the price action, seeing, okay, with what I learned, what would have happened here? Can I identify the setup that I should have taken? Literally just doing this for like 2 months basically. And one of the specific types of setups that I'm learning, I worked on really hard this weekend. And I was like, okay, I like the setup a lot. It makes a lot of sense. Let me implement it this week. So I worked on it probably like about 15 hours this past weekend alone. We come in on Monday and I see the setup, that exact same setup that I had worked on over the weekend, and I missed it. I was so pissed. It was a ripper. It was like, I think like 40 or 50 points in ES. Tuesday, same thing. Same setup, missed it. So pissed. I was like, how is this even possible? Like I literally spent 15 hours trying to study how to do this. And what I found out was I was trying to be a little bit too perfect. I was trying to do it for the money, right? Because each of those times I was trying to add like pretty fat positions, like larger than normal. And like I think that's probably what held me back in my head, where it's like I hesitated a little bit, missed the setup, and it's gone. Today I was like, all right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna buy 2 contracts and then I'll do it that way, right? So I saw the setup, I took it, I wound up taking 5 contracts actually. So 5 contracts. I think I made 13 points total, which in NQ is $2 times 13 times 5, so 130.
Oh God.
130? No, I got it.
Yeah.
So I made $130, which is like, it's great. Green is green. But I was just like so happy. That feeling, like Alejandro said, like after you work on something just like over and over and over and over again, and then you're able to execute it, like I could have made $130. I could have made $13. I could have made $13,000. I think that internal, like you just executed on what you intended to execute on this whole time, you've been working on this whole time, that made my day. Like that made my week. It really isn't about the money.
You're glowing.
It really isn't about the money. Like it's not.
It's so
like
rewarding.
It's really about like putting in the work, and this doesn't even have to necessarily be trading, just in whatever, putting in the work and then getting that reward on the other end. Nothing beats that. I know, hit the nail on the head.
I 100% agree with that. Yeah. You think you've got a perfect setup and you nail it. You hit it out of the park, and like you said, it could be $13, it could be 13,000. It doesn't matter. That is a great feeling.
Easy for you to say, Dozer. You're the one making 13K. Let's kind of circle back here. We'll go from the beginning. So GME, then randomly tailing random alerts and UW, to Kane Capital Bootcamp, to not having immediate success, but studying and putting in the hours. Fast forward, where are you sitting now? When did things and why did things start to turn around for you?
I would implore any new trader to find a bunch of people that are more competent than you, that are smarter than you. Be around them, put the hours in and absorb as much as you can possibly can from them. I mean, that's what worked for me. Find a good group of people, find a good Discord. I mean, I would recommend, of course, the Cane Cap Discord. I mean, I think they can conduct themselves pretty honorably. Of course, there's other ones out there, like I think Trust Bus. I don't even think they charge anything. They seem like a bunch of good dudes just trying to help out the retail traders. But find a group and just keep working with them and absorbing as much as you possibly can. And after months is when it really started to turn around for me. We talk about my biggest day ever, if you want. I mean,
yeah. Let's
Let's
talk about
definitely
it.
do that.
Hey, Noah, what do moving averages, RSI, and MACD all have in common?
They're all lagging indicators from the 70s with weak ability to predict future price action.
Exactly. Modern retail traders need modern trading tools. That's why we've partnered with Rocket Scooter, an artificial intelligence and algorithmic charting tool that predicts where high volume will occur before it happens.
That's right. Rocket Scooter's 15 unique indicators help visualize in real time where institutional players are interested on almost any stock and gives you a clear-cut game plan for how to take advantage of the underlying mechanics of the market.
A platform like that probably costs a ton of money.
Well, for 7 days, Rocket Scooter will offer their groundbreaking technology completely free. Then, once you decide you're ready to become part of the Rocket Scooter community, for a limited time only, Rocket Scooter is offering 50% off their monthly subscription for life, as long as your membership stays active. Use the link in the show notes to get started using Rocket Scooter for half price today.
So my biggest day ever, I was trading, I was watching the market, and I noticed a few times before this day that at noon, that there would just be like this violent knife, this violent dump, and the market would just torpedo. It would drill into the center of the earth. And I saw that happen a couple times. And I remember on Voice, you guys were like, my contracts blew up. I mean, you guys were pissed. And it literally came out of nowhere.
Hey, man, not me.
Well, it was nebulous. The royal you. The royal you was pissed that the market turned on them. And I had been tracking that. And I saw a very similar setup that day. It was sort of basing, just ping-ponging back and forth there. And I'm like, you know what? This feels like that kind of day. And I would not recommend anyone do this.
Disclaimer.
I put about like 13 grand on SPX 0 DTEs. I think it was a Friday, I think. Yeah. It was like 13 grand, 3 different strikes, SPX 0 DTEs. I would not do this today. And as soon as I bought them at 11.59 because I thought this was going to happen. And if it didn't happen, I probably would have cut them at like 20% or something. But it did happen. And all of a sudden I'm at like plus 50%, plus 100%, plus 200%. And I'm shaking. And I'm like, oh, did I just nail this trade? And I'm posting screen caps in real time. As soon as I take a screenshot and post it in chat, it's already gone up another, $30,000 or something. And which is, it's just, I was shaking. I mean, SPX 0 DTEs are like, it's like the fentanyl of trading. It is, there's no bigger high and there's probably no bigger crash either.
Well said.
Yeah. It's dangerous. It's so dangerous. But I hit it and it was perfect. And everyone is like, sell. You need to sell. And I learned a lot from all you guys. And one of the things I've really internalized is from Mander is Mander's not satisfied unless he gets 10 bags on a play. And and I was probably channeling him a little bit with that move.
It was like 15 bags, right? Wait, did you trim along the way? Take me through the trade. So you're up like 200%. How are you not selling? What the hell is wrong with you? Like, that's crazy.
It's these algos. These algos, when they get going, it really turns into an avalanche. It is an unstoppable avalanche. And I think with some of these strikes, so it's like 500%, 600%. And I'm just seeing it grow for like 60,000. 80,000, 100,000, 140,000. And it's just blowing my mind. I'm shaking. I'm actually I'm nauseous. I'm physically not like.
We are gonna have to we're gonna have to redo the whole disclaimer at the end of the podcast.
Yeah,
It's gonna say, please do not. After listening to this episode, please do not get the urge to go trade SPX 0DTE the next day. Because this has me fucking wanting to go check out the SPX options. Fucking
CPI day. Come on, let's take a
got
lot.
me in full port mode, Dozer.
you guys can check out my Twitter. It's my pinned post right now. But it's yeah. I mean, it was climbing, and the members were all cheering me on, and everyone was dumbfounded that this was even happening. And there were people like, head traders, make them sell, head traders.
So when did you take your first trim? How much were you up?
I think I was up 200,000 when I took my first trim, which is insane. I would not do that. If this trade happened today, I'd probably walk away with like $60,000, which that's nothing to slough off. But I walked away at the end of this with about 200K.
I pulled it up on his Twitter. So Paul Dozer's Twitter, by the way, guys, is at PAVL Dozer, DOZER. So I checked out the pinned tweet. I see where he added, and he got 13 red 5-minute candles in a row, just literally just bleeding. So like,
perfect.
Even in a situation where it's like, I'll just set my stop. Like it literally no bounces, like none, just straight down elevator.
No. Look at the 90 MA there. It doesn't even tap the 90 MA until, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like 15 candles. It doesn't even tap the 90 MA.
Like an hour in. Yeah.
If you just trade the chart, there's no reason to sell there, right?
Right.
Other than you're scared and it's a 0 DTE. And I was, but just look at the chart there. It's perfect. It's a perfect entry there.
That's so crazy, man.
And so, the numbers are just climbing up and up and up. And I think at the peak, it was like 230K. And I walked away with 200K, so I basically nailed the top and I nailed the bottom on an SPX 0 DTE. It was literally the perfect trade, but I will probably never do that again. And I'm okay with that. I will never have another day like that again. And one of those days is enough for me.
Did you take the money out of your brokerage immediately, or did you leave it in there?
Oh, you've always got to pay yourself, right? I mean, you have to. And you make a lot of money, and you're feeling good. You're feeling on top of the world, and you've sort of got this hubristic attitude that I'm great, I'm infallible, I can recreate this no problem. I mean, that's a pitfall that a lot of traders fall into, and you've got to fight that urge. Always pay yourself. And if it helps, pay yourself bi-weekly. And so yes, of course you got to pay yourself. And of course you got to pay the tax man, right? I mean, they just hired 87,000 new people, and they're not going after, the billionaires. They're going after us.
Let's talk a little bit more about your December as a whole, because I think that somebody from the outside looking in might look at that trade and say, oh, he got lucky one day. But I need you guys to understand, like, Paul's an actual animal. Like,
this is chapter 1, people.
Yeah, like Paul's an actual animal. So talk about your December, because during December you were just on a tear, just an absolute tear every single day. I checked the Discord. This guy's up 10 grand. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, what's happening? Like, it's 9:50 in the morning. Hey guys, got this swing up 50%, 10 grand. See you later. Every day. I'm like, what's happening? So talk about how you got on that hot streak towards the end of 2022, and you closed out your year in spectacular fashion.
Sure, yeah. I would say that it's important for every trader out there. You can say, oh, I'm a news trader, or I'm a price action trader, or whatever. You should always be learning new things and adding new tools to your toolbox. And a recent tool that I had added to my toolbox was the system.
Hold on. Paul, how would you like to replace Noah as co-host? That's beautiful.
There's no replacing Diamond, but if you need a pinch hitter every once in a while, let me know.
All right.
Disrespect.
Yeah, I mean, major props to Trader B. Jones, who is the originator of the system, who then, Hondo took it. He chewed that up and he made it a little more digestible to the rest of us. and helped us understand it. I then took that and said, hey, okay, everyone's putting this on SPX, like, or they're trading futures with it. Like, why can't I trade Tesla with this? In my tear in this December, the vast majority of my plays were trading only Tesla. I would tell anyone out there, if you're trading 30 different names, you're trading Chewy or you're trading Coin or Airbnb or the China names or whatever, like, just cut that out. Simplify your screen down to 6 names max. I mean, I look at SPY, QQQ, Tesla, Apple, and then 2 bonus names, maybe like an NVIDIA or a Microsoft or an Amazon, and then maybe keep VIX in the corner, but simplify the amount of things that you're looking at. Like, I look at Tesla every day and I know it like the back of my hand. Choose your favorite stock and do that. Don't try to be the everything trader. I'm gonna trade this. I'm gonna sector rotate like that. I'm gonna follow this alert, because you're gonna lose yourself. But back to the system. I had added the system into my repertoire, into my toolbox recently. I juxtaposed that onto Tesla, and it's like, listen, every day I'm getting a sell signal on Tesla. I'm going to keep slapping this until it's dead, essentially. I mean, you're trading the chart, you're trading the system. These are what your indicators are telling you. And people are like, this can't go down any further. I'm like, of course it can. It can go down 50%. And then it can go down 50% from there. And then it can go down 50% from there. It can always go lower. And I'm always plugged into the news on Twitter. I'm seeing what everyone's doing, what people are posting. Particularly, I'm plugged into Elon news. And he had a rough end of year. And anytime he was tweeting, the stock was going down. He was selling the stock. It's like, if you watch that ticker and then you watch SPY and QQQ, you could see that it was decoupled completely. I mean, a lot of times they would act in cohesion, but it was decoupled. I'm like, is Elon selling? That's what's going through my mind. And I'm like, yes, of course he's selling. He's got to be selling. There is so much artificial downward selling pressure on this stock that there could be no other explanation. And so I kept slamming the table. And like GameStop at the time felt like a very rare and historic moment that, like, okay, this is out of the ordinary. This is when you take advantage. This is when you size up. I also felt that way about Tesla, and I was sizing up. And everyone, Hondo's disclaimer here: don't do what I do. A lot of what I do is very unorthodox. I mean, it's like trading is like painting. You got to know the basics before you can break the rules. You got to know lights and shadows. You got to know proportions. You've got to know all that stuff before you then go do some modern art Joker stuff. I mean, you've got to learn the basics. You've got to have discipline. You've got to have rules, and then you got to know when to break those rules. And this was a very rare moment where it was worthy of breaking those rules, and it paid well. So I walked away at the end. I mean, it was a very, very good month. It might have been like an 80K, 100K month or something just on Tesla puts alone. Like you guys said, it was like, all right, 5K this day, 20K this day. It, when the market gives you that rare opportunity, you size up. But today we got CPI. I'm trading 2 contracts. I'm trading 4 contracts. I'm not trading 300 contracts. Okay. Like, know when the market is ripe for this style. Otherwise, you're going to get burned.
Yeah, looking back at that Tesla chart, that was a dream trade. So the system applied to Tesla gave a sell signal when it was trading at 185. And what was the yearly low? Like 107 or something, or like $100, 104, something down there. That is gnarly. And I look back at the chart and I'm like, man, what was I don't know why I didn't like shift my focus to this, especially with you trading it every day. But dude, you are on it. You were on it. That is like the perfect. Traders talk about like you only need that one trade to make a month. Even if you didn't have your 200K day, like that's the type of trade where it's like that one trade to make a year.
You know, I feel very lucky that I recognized that at the time. Try and recognize when you're in those types of moments, those rare moments that you can really put the screws on and capitalize. Because 90% of the time, the market is not going to be like that. Probably even less than that.
Yeah, that was CPI for me last year. That was like my biggest trade. That's the trade I went heaviest in. I was just like, wow, this shit is dumping. And I just took advantage of it. There are those moments where you just kind of got to do it.
Know the basics before you do that.
We've talked about this so many times, right? Where it's like a lot of trading is sort of, you win some, you lose some, you're kind of flat. Like most of your profits on the year come from trades like that, right? On those bigger trades where it's like, if you're in a situation where you're not following your rules day to day and you're breaking your rules day to day all the time, when that opportunity comes, like a Tesla sell signal or like a CPI sell off, you're not going to have the capital, right, to take advantage of it. So I think that's really the importance of that balance. Like Paul said, know the times, but also when it's not that time, recognize that, right? Size down and trade appropriately so that you'll have the dry powder available for when those opportunities show themselves. I couldn't agree more. All right, last thing. Let's talk about trust. I know that that's something that you really wanted to hit on in this podcast. And I think it's something that somebody like you in particular, who almost has like an outside view, like you were a boot camp attendant, like you're a member in the Discord. It seems like you have the view that probably most of our listeners have. And so I wanted to talk about primarily just trust on FinTwit, right? And really showing people what's actually possible, what's realistic if you work hard, and then, trying to scam people to buy your course, right? Like trying to scam people to show up in your Discord, showing them the Lambos, that I'm driving at 19 years old, that type of thing. Yeah, touch on that for us a little bit.
So in FinTwit, the barrier to entry is so low in FinTwit to being a furu. That's sort of a pejorative term, which deservedly so for a lot of these people out here. You could be an influencer, an e-celeb with your rented Lambo and your slick marketing and advertising and say, yeah, follow me in my Discord and my Patreon, join my page. Building a brand, being an influencer, all that is a much different skill set than actually being a consistent, profitable trader. It's a completely different skill set. And people that can do both do really well. FinTwit's, it's filled with all these paper traders, these people that sort of lie and misrepresent what they're doing, or even worse, like the scammers that sort of pump and dump on their own members. It's sort of unconscionable to be so morally bankrupt to do that, to squeeze blood out of a stone. The people that are most vulnerable, that are just starting out, that don't know anything. It's like lambs to a slaughter. I'm glad that the government is going after those people. Some of those people, finally, there's more out there. And and people can say like, well, why don't they go after Jim Cramer and CNBC and all these other people? Like, he's got his sound effects like zoinks and his all this. That guy's a goober. But yeah, like, why don't they go
was
after
that a
those
Coach
people?
Dipka voice that you were doing? That sounded like a Coach Dipka voice.
and so like, are you listening?
Yeah, you're good.
Life isn't fair. Okay. So the government, they're going to go after these furus. They're not going to go after the hedge funds that are doing all this stuff and probably even more heinous things they're sort of raiding your grandma's retirement accounts. I mean, it's a painful lesson, but as soon as you can internalize that life isn't fair, you're going to be better off. You're going to be better off as a trader, as a human. But I mean, so like when I trade, I'm showing people like, here's my positions, here's my big green number, here's my big red number. Because when I'm putting plays out there, I want people to really know that like, hey, this guy's being upfront. And listen, I'm like you said, I'm kind of an outsider. I'm not selling anything. I'm just a trader like all of you. I'm trying to help other traders because I was helped by other traders like me that have a little more experience, that have a little more knowledge base. And it's hard when you don't know anything. When you don't know anything about anything and you're sort of dropped into this FinTwit universe and you see all this money and this flash, it's intoxicating. And so I don't blame these traders that are getting hoodwinked. I blame the people that are the snake oil salesmen that are taking advantage. And so, like, I'm conflicted. It's these people, maybe they should be tarred and feathered and publicly shamed. But if I see someone that's like just it's a bullshitter, that's they're probably not honest, I block them and I move on. And listen, if I blocked you and you think I did it by mistake, just let me know and we can work that out.
Oh man, you're gonna have people coming for you. Yeah, Dozer. I mean, it's very, very important for people to be aware of what's really going on. I think that the Atlas trading situation definitely brought light to some of the garbage that goes on behind the scenes. We obviously did the podcast with our lawyer, Damon Wright. If you guys haven't gotten a chance to listen to that, I believe it's episode 58. Thanks, Ryan. Episode 58 with our lawyer. We talked about the Atlas pump and dump situation. And the reason we did that episode is because we wanted people on FinTwit, again, just to really know what was going on and to understand that not everything is what it seems. A lot of people act like they're trying to help you, but unfortunately, that's not the case. And there's a lot of illegal stuff going on too. So
yeah,
but outside of that, there are lots of quality accounts.
Definitely.
On FinTwit. There are lots of people like Paul Dozer who are traders looking to help other people who have had success in the markets and are now trying to pass it on to others. I know that Noah and I have made connections with a ton of awesome people through the podcast, through CaneCap, who are great business people and traders who I believe are very genuine.
There's a lot to be optimistic about. I mean, there are a lot of good, smart people, and it's easy to stay humble. Like, don't think that you know everything about X, Y, or Z. Always be open to other people's suggestions. I mean, there are some kind and brilliant people out there, and maybe they've got 2 followers or something, and that doesn't make their opinion any less valid than the guy with 20,000 followers or something. I mean, I've learned so much just by listening and being receptive to so many just brilliant traders out there that, like, hey, Dozer, have you looked at this way? And I'm like, no, I haven't. And that's like, those little light bulb moments can come from the most unexpected places and can really improve your craft. There's a lot to be optimistic about. There are a lot of good people, and just try to tune out the bullshitters and amplify the good people out there.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I think that that's an awesome way to wrap up this episode. Dozer, it was an absolute pleasure having you on. Again, the first CaneCap member that we have ever had on the podcast. Well deserved. You are a phenomenal representation of exactly what CaneCap is and should be. And again, it was awesome having you on the podcast, man. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. This has been an honor, and it's been a pleasure. I've had a lot of fun. And hey, I love you guys. I love the CaneCap Discord, all the head traders.
We love you too, man.
Love you too, brother.
Let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it rolling.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Noah, another awesome episode. I'll see you next week for episode 61.
Yep. Take care, guys.